Wednesday, first look, our unboxing series, and today we're taking a look at a very special play-to-earn game from Illuvium. It's built on Unreal Engine, it's play-to-earn, it's exciting. They just dropped the sickest trailer I have ever seen for a game in this space. So much to unpack here, and we'll do that all after this message from our sponsors.
Don't let high gas costs keep you out of Ethereum. A Balancer, the gas-optimized vault architecture, makes trading cheaper than anywhere else. Liquidity providers can optimize their fee earnings using the dynamic fee system that automatically adjusts to market conditions. You can also use asset managers to lend out idle assets, dramatically increasing your capital efficiency. And because Balancer is an open platform for flexible automated markets, you can choose from stable pools or weighted pools, and in the future more designs will be created that they don't even know about yet. Check it out at balancer.fi. DeFi users, you no longer need to pay expensive and unpredictable interest rates on your ETH loans. Liquidity, a decentralized borrowing protocol, allows you to borrow against your ETH interest-free. Loans are paid out in LUSD, a USD-pegged stablecoin, and need to maintain a minimum collateral ratio as low as 110%. To learn more, head over to liquidity.org/Defiant to get started and get the most out of your borrowing needs today.
So let's just get straight into it. Illuvium, what on earth is it? Well, it's a collectible NFT RPG game and auto battler. And if you don't know what an auto battler is, it's basically you have characters, you put them on a board, kind of like chess pieces, and then they just battle. They go kind of one-to-one, and it's basically about putting together the best team that you can, leveling them up the best way that you can. And so Illuvium is basically, it's an open world where you can wander around and capture these creatures called Illuvials. And they're kind of, I guess, like Pokemon, basically. And you put them in shards, which are the equivalent of a Pokeball. And that's how you collect the items that you need for battling in this environment. Each Illuvial is an NFT. It's built on Immutable X, so low gas fees. In fact, I think it's zero gas fees and supposedly carbon neutral NFTs. And you can earn in-game rewards in ILV tokens by engaging in competitions and quests. But what's fun about this is it's got this RPG element, open world. You can roam around hunting these creatures, and then you have this battling mechanic where you can battle and earn rewards for winning games. And those Illuvial NFTs can be battle items, they can be skins, they can be collectibles, they can be emotes, and more. So there's a whole kind of world of assets and items that you can collect and earn, and basically just rewards you for playing. And because it's built on Immutable X, it should be relatively cheap to transact with people and just get going and actually play the game itself. So the backstory of this is things have taken a turn for a worse. You were in an intergalactic space fleet, and you land on this irradiated planet that's been devastated, and most of the land has been swallowed up by the sea. And what is left is just constantly under attack by natural disasters. And there's these giant obelisks. You might have seen the Illuvium logo. It's these big kind of spears that stick out of the ground. These block access to some regions entirely. And your goal is to discover what's happened, to unlock those obelisks and mine the land for shards. And it's these shards that allow you to capture the Illuvials and then put them to work for you in battle. That's basically how it works. So the gameplay. You are a hunter. You hunt and capture Illuvials, and you mine shards to store them. We'll have a look at what those look like. These are all NFTs. You can put them in a wallet. There are lots of different classes of Illuvials with different ability types. And if you capture several of the same Illuvial type, I think it's 3, they can be fused together to become a more powerful one. So you get 3 Illuvials of like the air type, and you could smash them together and make a super Illuvial. So you can see there's like progression built in. Leveling up, crafting, these kind of things. Those mechanics are at play here. And you're mining resources. So you can mine resources with your drone. Here's a drone. And this goes around looking for ore, uncured shards, and gemstones. And all of these can be used to create armor, weapons, that kind of thing. You also get auras, which your own player emits in battle, which will buff your Illuvials for the battle environments as well. So play more, level up your Illuvials, earn different kind of assets that can be used to create a more compelling set of characters that battle for you. You can also harvest organic items from the trees that dot the world, and this could be something like a poisonous goo that's emitted from your Illuvial during a battle, and that'll be like a limited one-time thing that you can use during combat. What's interesting about this is that every single match apparently will be stored and replayable, every single one. So if this thing hits scale, there's going to be a lot of storage required, but apparently it's possible. That's very exciting. There is a token, the ILV token. This is not a token that you need to play the game. The primary currency for the game is in fact Ethereum. But if we have a look at the Illuvium chart, goodness gracious me, since April, it's been just on a massive tear. I mean, if you think where it was back in May, probably kind of around $20, July, I mean, absolutely nowhere. It's now nearly $1,200 a token, which gives you a sense of just how excited people are about this game and what it could be. We can draw whatever conclusion we want about that chart and how sustainable it is, but there's no doubt that the game has been seeing some serious traction. So there's three basic use cases or utilities for the ILV token. It's a governance token. There are proposals that council members put forward, and these could be all sorts of different things. One of the most recent ones was for this mobile game. It's kind of a mini game that sits alongside the main Illuvium game. I think we'll look at that in a bit, but basically these proposals can be voted on by ILV holders. You can stake ILV, and you can earn yield in the form of more ILV. We'll look at the staking in a second, but it's got a kind of an interesting mechanism to it. Your rewards are locked for a year, but you can unlock them early and convert them into a synthetic asset called SILV, which can only be used in the game. So the ILV token itself can be traded wherever you can trade ILV. Sushi is the main platform for that. But it's an ERC20 token that you can trade like any other ERC20 token. SILV, you cannot. But if you want to use your ILV rewards to pay for in-game assets, to level up your characters, you can unlock them straight away, but only within the confines of the game itself. It's a nice mechanic. Then there are vault distributions, as they call them, and these are basically protocol and game revenues that are distributed back to ILV token holders. So 100% of revenue from the game and sales will be shared between ILV stakers. But that's basically only going to happen once the game launches itself, and the Illuvidex has launched. The Illuvidex is their own decentralized exchange to allow game players to trade between each other. And we looked at Katana earlier this week on Ronin Chain for Axie Infinity. It's a similar kind of thing. It's basically controlling the economy around the game itself, because as this thing scales up, you can imagine people won't really want to bother with going to a different AMM to find an item they want. They just want to do it all within the game itself. So let's take a look at the NFTs. So here they are. So you get there's badges here, but this is one we're kind of looking at here. This is a shard with an alluvial trapped within it, and that's what they look like. Kind of holographic and fun. So there's different versions of these. We can look further down and find a drone. So this is a drone here. And then here are some of the Founders Edition, holographic editions of these shards as well. So you can see the general aesthetic of this thing is it's kind of quite Japanese inspired. It feels a little bit Pokemon-y, and I think that's deliberate. But these things, there's a sheen of quality about them, which I think everyone has been really responding to. Here's the staking dashboard. You can see the different ways that you can stake here. So it says staking rewards are distributed as ILV or SILV tokens. I've already talked about what that means. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward thing. If you're familiar with DeFi, you're just going to get rewarded. And of course, the earlier you are in here, the better. But if you are really loyal and you stake for the locked period of a year, because you can choose whether you want to do the basic staking and get your SILV, or you can lock for a year, you'll get a 2x multiplier on those rewards. So if that's something you feel comfortable with, then that's what you can do. So let's get back to some of the more pressing things. Spending in game. So you spend ETH. There's a 5% fee for any transaction made between players, and then a 0.5% fee that also goes to Immutable X. That 5% fee turns into profit for the game, and then that, of course, gets redistributed back to the players. There are 5 things you can do in the game. You can do shard curing. So these raw shards that you mine have to be cured before they can be turned into assets that can capture an illuvial. You'll be spending when you want to move between regions through an obelisk. So these different regions are blocked by these obelisk gates, and if you want to travel to the next region, you have to spend a bit. Crafting for working your way through making better assets, better in-game items, and tooling up. Cosmetics. You'll be able to add skins to your illuvials. There's all sorts of skins economies built in as expected. Revival, if you can't be bothered waiting for an injured illuvial to heal, you can jump the process with ETH. And so you can speed up the recovery process. And yeah, basically, if you're impatient, that's for you. There is land coming, and this weird thing, Illuvium Zero. So Illuvium Zero is a mobile mini-game that's being proposed. And it will be kind of city-building game staged on a piece of land. There'll be a free version of this. This will not produce resources that you can use in the main game, but if you pay for land, and there's a land sale coming up, you'll be able to produce resources that can interact with the main game. It's a little bit hard to find out what these will be, but there could be blueprints, it could be skins, there could be a bunch of things. And I can imagine if they want to capture people playing on the go or traveling somewhere else, this would be a way for them to continue playing without having to have the full blockchain game experience that they would need on a PC. So it allows you to kind of continue leveling up and being active. That land sale, there will be 100,000 plots of land, and I think these go up to this like 5 tiers of these lands, and something along the lines that will only be 7 tier 5 plots of land. So very, very, very rare land. And on those pieces of land, you'll be able to host your own tournaments and create your own arenas. So if you own that piece of land, you could become a very, very wealthy land baron in the world of Illuvium. So here are the illuvials. I mean, this is kind of some of the early development stuff, but you can see on the left here, this foxy looking creature with his glowing tail, and then some of the modeling and some of the gameplay animations there as well. One thing that should be abundantly clear when you look at this is, holy moly, doesn't it look good? And I guess the cynical view would be, well, this has to be in-game cinematics. This isn't representative of the gameplay itself. But I know it is representative of the gameplay itself. We spent a lot of time the last couple of months teaching ourselves Unreal Engine, because if you didn't know already, we're going to be moving quite a lot of our production into Unreal next year. There's a few different reasons why we would want to do this, but what's abundantly clear, Unreal Engine is capable of some extraordinary levels of cinematic detail. I can look at this now, and I can look at things produced in Unreal, and I know that they're produced in Unreal because I can tell by the way the lighting works. But Unreal is an incredible platform, and the cinematics in this game are that element, that immersive quality, the level of detail, it's pretty impressive. And that's why people are starting to talk about this game as a AAA. I think it's unfair to talk about it as a AAA. I let it just be a game. But the expectations around it being called a AAA game are probably too high for it to sustain. Nonetheless, there is an ambition here, clearly, to produce a game that really takes the world of DeFi, that takes the world of battling RPGs and does something compelling with it. We have kind of a Pokemon element to it as well. The brothers behind the project are Aaron and Kieran, and what you'll notice about them is, well, they're Australian, but they're actually relatively novice. They haven't actually developed a game before, but they have one extremely well-known brother in the family, Kane Warwick, as in synthetics Kane Warwick. And if you want someone on the phone to help you develop a DeFi ecosystem and a DeFi component through play to earn for your game, well, that's a pretty good phone call to be able to make. So let's kind of hold fire on the gameplay aspect of itself, but the in-game tokenomics and mechanics have been pretty well vetted and pretty well designed and are actually pretty interesting. Play to earn itself as a concept is somewhat problematic. We will be covering more about that in our Friday film this week, because Axie Infinity has been a hot topic this year, but it's not all positives, and it's important that we talk about those. play to earn in this environment will probably suffer from the same things. But again, Kane Warwick, Synthetics, he's been on the podcast, he's been on jam sessions as well. Very, very smart cookie. So that brings us finally to the trailer. They released the trailer, and yeah, goodness me, what a thing it was. And I think the best thing that we can do is just simply sit back, watch the trailer together, and just absorb what it is that we're being shown here. Because, as I said, the temptation would be to think, well, yeah, anyone can kind of spend a bit of money and produce a cinematic trailer, but how does that reflect on the gameplay itself? And the fact is, Unreal Engine cinematic gameplay, that's literally what it does best now. With Lumen, with mega scans, with all the nanite ability to produce tiny polygons, billions and billions of polygons for all that real detail, photorealism. It just means that you can produce something absolutely exquisite. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to be. So why don't we now just go ahead and watch the trailer together. So already we're immersed in the world of this planet. And there you can see it. Northern Lights, and there's your spaceship crashing. Already you can hopefully see the level of detail, the level of quality around. Just things like the atmospheric fog, the volumetric fog. This is all possible in Unreal in real time, which means that you can make it into gameplay. Bioluminescence, and there are the animals. There's your drone. So this is you, the hunter, walking through the landscape. And we have an emo version of Fatboy Slim's Praise You. Of course the hunt is a woman. Why wouldn't it be a woman? Sexy woman covered in purple plastic armor. Fight for ETH. That's the big motto of the game. Fight for ETH. Even though you don't actually earn ETH, you earn ILV. And here we get a first sense of the battle arena itself and what the battle environment could be. And there in the background you can see an obelisk. It looks good. Something is about to happen. The game's about to begin. Ooh. Purple eyes, purple hair. Yeah, I get a nice sense of some of the weaponry and the battle elements here. Lovely use of distortion there. As the shots are fired. This just wouldn't have been possible a few years ago, but now we can actually get this in a real game as it's being played. So this probably isn't gameplay. No, there we get more gameplay. But some of these environments just look gorgeous. And a shard, yeah. And we finish on a logo. Very nice. Wow. Oh, she's going somewhere, and she disappeared. So that is the Illuvium gameplay trailer. If they can pull this off and actually deliver a game that has that level of quality and emotion, what we didn't get to see so much of was the RPG element of exploring the land. It's more of the battle element, which looks great, to be honest. It does look great, but I'm more interested in how the mechanics of the RPG element, what you're going to encounter when you're in the wastelands. If you ever played a game like Fallout, where you go off into these massive open worlds and you're constantly under attack by irradiated monsters, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Final Fantasy, same kind of thing. Just go out there and battle hard to level up your characters. So this is the first game I've seen in this space that really feels like an immersive game that I would actually want to play. But I'm really curious whether they can deliver it next year when they say they can. Because the thing about games, they're always delayed. So that's it for this week's First Look. I hope that was an interesting one. It's certainly an interesting game. Definitely one that I'll be keeping a close eye on. If you have any suggestions for things we can cover in First Look, drop them in the comments below. And as always, subscribe, drop us a like, drop us a dislike if you don't like it. That's also possible. You can do whatever you want. And just stay tuned, comment. I'll see you on the next one. This was fun. Bye.